I think it's just going to get weirder and weirder and weirder, and finally it's going to be so weird that people are going to have to talk about how weird it is. Eventually people are going to say, what the hell is going on? It's not enough to say it's nuts. You have to explain why it's so nuts. The invention of artificial life, the cloning of human beings, possible contact with extraterrestrials, the systems which are in place to keep the world sane are utterly inadequate to the forces that have been unleashed.
Welcome back to Forbidden Knowledge News. I'm your host, Chris Matthew. Today my guest is Richard Willett. Be sure and visit our website, forbiddenknowledge.news. It is also the home of the Forbidden Knowledge Network. We feature some of your favorite podcasts and content creators. Check out my films, Occult Louisiana's on Tubi, Roku, Apple, and a few more. Doors of Perception is on Amazon Prime, and Relay for free. We are booking guests for March. If you have suggestions or you'd like to be a guest, email me forbiddenknowledgenews@gmail.com. Today I want to welcome Richard Willett. He is a filmmaker, director, video producer, journalist, and content creator on the Ickonic network. Richard, welcome. How you doing?
I'm good, thank you. Thank you for having me back on.
Thanks so much for coming back on. I'm really looking forward to getting into this. Today, I wanted to get your insights into some of the deep levels of occult power rooted in institutions like the Vatican and the web of secret societies that govern our matrix. We've probably all heard the conspiracies surrounding the Vatican, the hidden library of ancient manuscripts and occult knowledge, the hidden power structure, white, gray, and black popes, the black nobility. Yep. But how much is really true? How does it connect with our modern power structure and the technocracy? You've done some great deep dives and presentations associated with these topics, so looking forward to getting your insights. Before we do, this is your first time alone on the show. Tell us a little bit about yourself and let the audience know how they can find out more.
I work mostly at the moment with Ickonic.com, but I've been doing this sort of research for about 15, 16 years. Maybe longer, officially doing podcasts and stuff like that for quite a while now. So I'm a filmmaker, got a film and TV production degree. So I come from a filmmaking documentary background, and I got into this sort of stuff gradually over time. It was never a one moment that I thought, wow, I want to do that. It was just a real, like, oh, this is obvious. So at the moment I work with David Icke, Jamie and Gareth Icke. We built Ickonic together, which was nearly 7 years ago now since we launched. So that's doing well over on Ickonic.com. So all my content, every week I host a show called Classified on there, which looks into one sort of really deep esoteric topic. And then I do a show called Focus on there as well, which the audience or the members get to choose the subject the week before. I go away and have a look into it, and it's usually something I've never looked into. So that's fascinating. And I do a What If podcast, which is kind of like a satirical not satirical, but like a tongue-in-cheek Mickey take of all the weirdness that's going on, which we've been doing for years now, and that got a lot of people through COVID. And I just do the ongoing documentaries, work on the website. So this stuff is my life. This is what I do day to day, research into this, make content on this, and I'm fortunate enough to make a living doing it, because it's hard to do, as you will know.
As it relates to where we're at right now, I'd love to get your thoughts on the state of society, how deep the infiltration has taken hold from the parasitic ruling class, where we're at right now with the unfolding agendas. Do you have hope?
Absolutely, especially since the Epstein files have come out again. Now, there'll be other things of that nature, but this shows almost, I think what it's done has made it acceptable to ask really, really odd and bizarre questions of these people, because they're doing odd and bizarre and really, really strange, occult, satanic things. And what this has done is allow people to go, do you know what? That isn't as absurd as I thought, that question. And that's huge, because these people really are a cult, a global cult. And as like we mentioned at the top, it connects in with the Vatican, connects in with Washington DC, connects in with the City of London, and it connects in with the Black Nobility bloodlines that go back to Babylon, or at least believe themselves to. It has a messianic agenda. It connects in with UAPs and demonic entities, and whether we believe this stuff or not doesn't so much matter. It matters that these guys definitely do, and they're different factions fighting off against each other. And some of them, just for a case and example, Pete Hegseth is supposed to be the guy in charge of the Pentagon. Now I know he isn't, but officially he's supposed to be. Now he's already out there saying that he hopes that they can build the third temple on Temple Mount in Jerusalem, which is a messianic agenda. That's why you've seen the decimation of Gaza, because there is a messianic biblical playing out of these end times, and they're not prophecies, they're agendas. Whether they were written that way is by the by. They're definitely being used that way. So I think the world is starting to realize now that we can ask these weird questions, because this is a cult. This is a death cult. So that's where we are today. We're actually at a really good positive point where they're making it so blatantly obvious that they can only push forward very quickly and wake a lot of people up. And it's not going to happen. You've got the Technate rolling out as well under Elon Musk and JD Vance and Peter Thiel behind Trump, and they're going for all the countries that are ticking them off the list. So people like us that do this sort of research, that have the knowledge, can point out what they're doing step by step, and can even point out their next step. And there's almost, I feel like they've completely lost the chess game, but they can't give up now. And I think that especially this week, is a big week for what we do, with then people realizing that actually all of these main players are into it at some level. They might not be like each other, but it doesn't matter. The beast system comes first, and people are still kind of coming to terms with the fact that that is a real, very real thing, mate.
Well, as I mentioned in my intro, we're going to take a look at the levels of power behind these agendas, starting with institutions like the Vatican. I wonder how much power this institution really holds. The deeper you look into the Catholic Church, it seems that there is a very strong hold of power behind that system. But as far as your research goes, how much power does the Vatican hold?
I think in of itself, there's factions within that, as per usual. You have the Jesuits, which are obviously their military arm. Really, they are kind of their secret special service police, basically. They're their spies. They're the spies of the Vatican. Most people know that the Jesuits are that. You have Adam Weishaupt, who's a Jesuit-educated person who was obviously part of the Bavarian Illuminati, the original one. You have people like Anthony Fauci, Jesuit-educated, Donald Trump, Jesuit-educated. They go through an indoctrination process, and they don't follow Jesus and that. Like, I don't think they believe in any of that stuff. They are their secret service. That's exactly what they are. And the schools are about picking out and finding people like Harvard, like Skull and Bones and Yale, very similar in that way. It's a different faction, but it's a faction nonetheless in the same corporation. I call it the Crown Corporation, because these are, well, the Triple Crown Corporation, I call it, because one, the Triple Crown is a symbol that they use with the three hats for the Pope years ago. But also because you've got Washington, DC, you've got the Vatican, and you've got the City of London. Now, there's your three main power points of control of this global cult that goes back to Babylon. Now, they believe, many of these bloodlines, these European Black Nobility bloodlines, appear to believe that they do actually have genetic links to the gods or the rulers of the Davidic lines and of the Anunnaki back to through Babylon and Mesopotamia. Now, whether that's true or not, I doubt it, but it doesn't really matter. Again, they believe these things. So they're your three main power points there. So absolutely, the Vatican has the Jesuits, but you also have this fake breaking down of the Catholic Church into Protestant and Catholic. It to me, this again is what they do. They don't just divide you and me to rule. They divide themselves to rule. Now, this is really important, because this is getting into their mindset, is what I try to do. So they divide themselves to rule. So they'll divide something that's working and they realize that, okay, this is crumbling. This isn't, the people aren't buying this as much anymore. We need to give them a fake option. So they did. They gave them the Church of England president and they give them Catholic. At the top, the Pope and the King of England and all these guys, they all answer to the same cult in the shadows, the Black Nobility bloodlines. And that's been proven. I mean, even recently you had the Pope, I think it was the present Pope, saying a prayer with the King. The King Charles in the last this year or the previous year just gone, 2025. That's supposed to be, oh my god, it's 500 years since they've been together for the day one. They're genetically linked together in that sense, hermetically linked together. So they've never been apart. They're a pincer movement. It's to give you the fake understanding of the fake feeling that you've got an option when you really haven't, because they don't believe in these, in my opinion, gods themselves, and that's evident at the levels that, or Jesus, they don't believe in. Look at the sigil of Saturn on the Balmoral cross, Baal as well, Balmoral crest. Sorry, they're Satanists. They invert everything they say they're doing. So this is the very top level of the Vatican. I'm not saying everybody involved with it, but there clearly is a demonic entity there. Look at that. Is it the resurrection of Jesus, the statue with all of these ghouls coming out the background and the Pope sitting in front of them? It's clearly archons. That's what they're depicting. So it doesn't matter whether we believe in these things. They are clearly doing this. So Triple Crown Corporation, you get the world religion is kind of run. You've got your three popes there, your grey pope, your black pope and your white pope. You've got your military run through Washington, D.C., which is Rome, Maryland, which is clearly the 7 hills of Saturn, the 7 hills of Washington, D.C. And then you've got the City of London, which is the inner core of the city with a square mile, with your middle temple, your outer temple, and your temple, which is your temple for the Knights Templar. So this is all a messianic agenda to bring about these end times prophecies. And it's a cult. You've got Sabbatean Frankists in America that pose as Chabad Lubavitch, that are massively connected to Trump and Putin and Netanyahu. So it goes across the board. This is thousands of years of them. So the Vatican plays a huge role in it, but it's not the only part of it. It's just kind of, it's the one part. I would say that it's probably got a lot more say in the way the one world religion is going to be than the other parts. But again, they're starting to talk about transhumanism and UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. So they don't believe what they said they do at the very top of them. So yeah, very dark place.
You mentioned the gray pope, the white pope, the black pope. What roles do these individuals truly play?
So the Black Pope is the military leader of the Jesuits. That's basically his role, is to be, he's a military guy. You've got the White Pope is basically out the front there taking all the flack. He's kind of their guard. He's out in the open. He's the White Pope. And the Grey Pope, Pepe Orsini, by the looks of it, brings in this hidden element. It's in these shadows. And there is an element to this that goes into shading and shadows, because you have these different parts of a shadow and you have this grey area where a shadow turns into light. And they use all these principles. So they use the light side that you can see. They have this grey side that you can't tell the difference between. It's hidden. And it's actually the Black Pope. Well, you'll concentrate on that, and he's doing the Jesuit stuff, the Secret Service stuff. But there is a grey pope in the middle, Pepe Orsini, and he belongs to the bloodline families, which I would say the European bloodline families, the old Italian nobility, the Papal nobility, is where the real control of this satanic cult absolutely is. And that comes in through Pepe Orsini by the looks of it at the moment. Definitely through the Bourbon Two Sicilies, Orsini families, all of these ancient families. I could reel them off. I can't remember off the top of my head. There's quite a few of them. And they're not the 13 bloodlines that most people believe. I'm not saying they haven't got anything to do with it. The Rothschilds and the Rockefellers and the DuPonts and these guys do, absolutely. But they're not the nobility part of it. They are the business side.
You mentioned earlier there are different factions, most likely with different interests on how to rule the world. But would you say that their spiritual beliefs all trickle down to the same belief system?
Um, I actually, I think they're trying to find a way to compromise between them, because I think there is this faction that believes that they can repair the world. Olam Habar. I'm sorry, it's called Tikkun Olam in the Kabbalah Chabad sect. Tikkun Olam means to repair the world. So you have this kind of understanding that their Messiah will be in charge. You have the Christian kind of take on it, where they believe certain things, where their kind of Christ figure would be a person coming back from the dead. You also, but the Messiah in the Jewish fact is is a real living person. I think there's absolutely fighting amongst them, but I think there's also a level that doesn't believe in any of it. And then there's a level with the UFO stuff, where you have a group called the Collins Elite, which I don't think are called the Collins Elite, but there's definitely a faction within the Pentagon that believe, that are very, very they're religious fanatics, including Pete Hegseth. Some of them are in with the Chabad lot, some of them are in with the Zionists, but then again, that's the same thing anyway. It's really hard to tell whether they're all on the same page. I doubt it they are. There is, here we want this one world agenda, this Olam Habar world to come, and then on top of that, you go, how are we going to do this? Well, that's where the Technate and the Technocracy guys come in. And I think they're fighting over who gets to rule those certain things. Some of them believe in the spiritual, some believe in the more physical.
You broke up there
Okay.
for about 20 seconds or so.
All right, am I back now? Yeah.
Yes, you're back.
So I don't think that they're overly, I think they think it's more alchemical, and they'll eventually get there together. But they're having to compromise a lot between each other. And the Technate and the Technocracy is a huge part of it. That's why you see Donald Trump with the Chabad Lubavitch guys, which is the Messianic sect, the Messianic side. But you also see him with J.D. Vance, and you also see him with Elon Musk and Peter Thiel, which bring about the Technate, which is why they want to take over Venezuela, Greenland, and the Caribbean islands as well. And they have this transhumanist edge to it, because they need a functional way to do it here. So there's all sorts of moving parts in this cult. But again, it comes down to absolute control over us. They're just fighting over who gets to control us. But I think they're a mess. I actually don't think I think it's a mess. Thousands of years of lies and backstabbing and corruption. None of them can trust each other. I don't think it's as well organized as most people think it does. But it serves their purpose for us to believe that they're omnipotent, when I actually just think they're a mess, to be honest.
I can easily observe the messianic agendas that they're attempting to bring about, as well as the technocratic agenda, the global surveillance, AI governance, and law enforcement that they're trying to bring about. But how does the messianic agenda really connect with the technocracy?
This is a really good point, and this is a really important point. Mostly through the creation of a homunculus, a transhuman being that can live in this world to come, which will be more of a electromagnetic 5G, 6G, 7G world, where cancers will be like all over the place, because, well, they are now. The body is not suited for that. So they're creating a vessel, a homunculus type vessel, human 2.0, human enhanced, that will be able to survive in that realm. So that's where the transhumanist element comes in. Then you've got the technocracy element, which will provide the smart grid for them to be able to monitor everyone, so they are abiding by, which I would say are the 7 Noahide laws of the Messianic agenda. They need a way to monitor everyone. And then people will, this is just my view, by the way, and I think I'm in the right ballpark. People will be judged, so their universal basic income will come on a social credit score. Their social credit score will be set to the 7 Noahide laws. So it's a compliance score. if you comply by those 7 NIHID laws, your score will be enough to get your universal basic income. So you have a very, like a real world, they call it Malkut, which is the material world, and the Kabbalah tree of life. That's where the technocracy will govern. But underpinning that is a messianic agenda that you need to stick to, abide by those laws, that really is the world that they want to create, that they call Olam Haba, the world to come. So if that makes sense, so that's the technological framework and the system that will keep the world in line with these messianic prophecy agendas.
So essentially, they need the illusion of biblical prophecy unfolding in order to manifest the complete technocratic vision that they have, essentially.
Yeah, they need both. They need both, because the messianic part is the foundation of it. The biblical playing out of all of these end time scenarios is the understanding of it all. That's why you had the Rothschilds and Amschel Rothschild. You had Jacob Frank, which is Sabbatean, took over from Sabbatai Zevi, and you had Adam Weishaupt all meeting together, that cross point in the late 1700s. It has and it's not a spiritual element. This is a control element. They might dress it up as spiritual and religious, but it's not, is it? It's all about control. It's all about demonic, satanic control. But they need a technological framework to be able to keep people in line. So that's where the technocracy comes in. So I think they go hand in hand. Absolutely, they go hand in hand, because the technology is born out of the want to control people, to get them to abide by this system.
And how would you say the UAP extraterrestrial agenda connects with that, or does it? Is it a separate agenda?
I think this is fascinating. This is something I've been looking to a little bit more lately, because it was kind of a hole in my research. But I think that what's happening here is you have guys in the Pentagon and other places that believe that these are actual aliens from other planets. You have another faction that also believe these are demonic entities being allowed in. Now, this is where it gets really interesting, because this Collins elite, and I'm not saying they're called that, but there is obviously a religious fanatic element in the Pentagon and in other in military. There clearly is that. So there are people that believe that demons have been allowed in. Now, they think they were allowed in, these guys, allegedly, through the Babylon working ritual, which was done in New Mexico around about that time with Jack Parsons, L. Ron Hubbard, and it was off of Crowley's work. So they have this occult thing where they think that they opened up a portal with these atomic weapons and allowed something in, these demonic entities in. So that's one part of the UAP agenda, in terms of these guys think that they're saving the world from these demonic entities who are pretending to be UAPs and UFOs. Then you have the guys that are doing the research who actually genuinely think that these are UFOs and technology from another planet or part of the galaxy. And then you have these other guys who think that there's another part of it, thinks they're demonic, like interdimensional entities. So I think that plays a massive role in it, because it's this religious overtone to it. But where certain elements fall into that, I mean, it's hard to say, but they clearly can play off. And I said that this is coming. I think this is the big thing that's coming. They're going to play off the demonic entity UFO type thing, that these are demonic. They've been allowed in through portals, CERN, through the Babylon working ritual in New Mexico. And we need to come together to fight them off, because it's a religious, spiritual thing. Then you'll have the UAP guys who say, no, these are actual physical entities and aliens, and you'll have that side of things. And you always need that duality to play them off, when neither of them could be true. They could all just be nonsense. It doesn't have to be true. They have to create the polarity for you to be able to control you within. So none of this has to be true. And I'm not speaking as, like, I don't sit here saying any of this is true, by the way. I probably should have said that from the start. I don't say any of this is true. I say I'm trying to get into the mindset of what these people believe. I want to know what they believe. And there is a broad spectrum, but it all comes down to, actually, they can use these things to control people and fear. But I don't believe any of these things are true. I've never seen any evidence of these things being true. It could be that this technology that's being seen is actually just ours and they're using it to say UFOs. It could be that there's other life and other planets. Look in the sky. I wouldn't be surprised. Come on, it's huge. Who knows? You have the Gnostics that believe we live in a trapped world and that this place is almost like a simulation and they can drop bits into the computer game and take them out whenever they want. I think the overall understanding is no one knows what's going on, basically. And with that, that can be used.
Yeah.
And I think that that's what we're doing. That's what's happening. These governments know that they don't know any more than us. They just have the money and then the structure to be able to manipulate us in any way, shape or form. I don't think they genuinely know any more than us. I just think that they're bloody clueless as much as we are in that sense.
So do you think even at the highest levels where you hear about dark occult rituals, human sacrifice, communing with demons or archons, that could be an illusion to get us to believe that they're more powerful than they are, essentially?
Could be. It could be that, or it could be they believe that they are tapping into these things. Or it could be they're tapping into something they don't understand. And then, look, and I'm not shut off from that. We come here into this world. We don't know where we were before we were born, and we don't know where we go when we die. So there is another thing. I'm not saying there isn't. I'm just saying I don't think these guys, one, have control over it and know really what they're messing around with. I don't. And I think that they want us to think that they do and they're in control when they're not in any way, shape or form. Did you know what I mean? It's so multi-layered in psychology wise. That's why it's really important, I think, is to get into the mind of these people. Because if you're going to meet a cult leader, I want to know what he thinks, the way he thinks. He thinks this is true. To him, this is true. And to him, his followers, this is true. And this is the way the world is. And that's why things are happening. That's why Gaza's been flattened and 70,000 people, including 20,000 children, and I know it's more than that, but officially those are the numbers, but I know it's more than that, have been killed because of this messianic nonsense. So it has real world effects, these things, these ways of seeing the world that kill children, that maim children, that maim adults, that flatten lands, to build a bloody temple in Jerusalem. So these have real world effects, these strange ways of seeing the world. That there may be some truth in it, but I don't think anyone knows for sure. But what I do know for sure is killing children over this madness is not the right thing to do. It doesn't matter what your God says. It doesn't matter. There's no excuse for that plot behavior. So whether it's true or not, I can't tell you. I'm a researcher like you are. I've seen certain things in the sky. I've seen things that make you wonder and made me wonder. But I think that these guys are messing around with these things, doing rituals, satanic rituals, are doing all these things and have done for thousands of years. I've made a documentary with David Icke about called Rituals of the Elite. These things are happening. I'm not saying they're not happening. What I'm saying is I don't think these guys are using those powers and have those abilities that they claim. I think they're messing around with things they don't understand.
Going back to the powerful institutions, you mentioned that there are more powerful than the Vatican. What would you consider to be some of the most powerful institutions?
I think it's the bloodlines that go way back. I think it's the black nobility bloodlines that control various institutions which have become the beast system. So they went from outright royal control to hiding in the shadows as a democracy. Well, obviously the democracy was fake. They still control these people. They still control what goes on in the world, these black nobility bloodlines from Babylon and all of these places that came over to Europe mostly. So they run through these factions. So the Vatican would be one, and Washington DC would be one, which is Rome, Maryland. It's clearly built as a carbon copy of the Seven Hills of Rome, and City of London, which has all that kind of Knights Templar feel to it. So it has something to do with this bloodlines, these families that have grown wealthy over a long time. That's where the power is in terms of richness, but they've kept themselves in the shadows. And you believe these black nobility bloodlines have died out. They haven't. They've just gone into business. So the next thing is going to be what the technate want. They wanted to take over from democracies that weren't really democracies anyway, that facade. They wanted to bring about scientists and technicians being in charge of the world. Well, that'll be the next rollout. But behind them, it'll be the same old powers, which I believe, just personally, are these black nobility bloodlines that trace their lineage, or believe they do, back to ancient Babylon. It's the same cult. So really, they are the faction, these families, these black nobility, European, Venetian, Papal nobility bloodlines that go back, that hide in the shadows, and you never really hear of them. They pop up now and again. The Bourbon Two Sicilies, the Orsini family, many others. Merovingian is another one. You've got the Breakspears as well. These sort of families that you look into, I still think that they hold far more power than they let on. Rothschilds and Rockefellers are the businessmen. They're the servants of these guys. They're the outside. They're the red shield. They shield these guys, the black nobility. And again, as the white nobility was in there as well. So I still believe that they hold a lot of the power. And I think a lot of it also comes from us giving our power away because we believe they're more powerful than they actually are. It's a bit of a mind trick.
As it relates to the illusion of power that they have, I saw you did a video on black magic contracts, agreements that these high-level people supposedly are making with spiritual entities, abilities that they gain from them, and the power that we're just discussing. Talk a little bit about what they're doing with black magic contracts in these power cults.
Yeah, this is really interesting. Again, I'll kind of start it off, I suppose, by saying we don't have to believe in it for them to believe in it. We don't. So really what they're doing is they're kind of selling their soul. You've heard all about this in Hollywood, selling your soul. Solomon had and I don't believe Solomon ever existed, by the way, but it doesn't really matter what I believe. Solomon had the ring of Solomon, or the seal of Solomon, on a ring. Now he used that, which was the hexagram, which is the Star of David, seal of Solomon, Ramfan, same thing. Now it was the middle part of that, the hexagon in the middle. So the hexagram, I think, I always get them mixed around. The hexagon is in the middle, I believe. That part of it is the hex. Now that shape in the middle there is where they could summon in a demon. So that's why they draw it on the floor. You have the same thing with the pentagram, the pentagram, and the pentagon. The whole point is that shape in the middle is where they can conjure in a spirit they believed. So Solomon had it on his ring, and he was able to tap into spirits, trap them, and use their power. But he had a black magic contract with them, which meant that after a certain period of time, they were able to use him as a conduit to do what they wanted in this world, whether it was him alive or dead. This is the understanding of it. So that's what the black contract is. They are able to tap into these abilities. That's what they believe, these demonic entities, or some of them are good entities, they're not bad, but they use their powers in this world for fortune, fame, control, manipulation, and then after a certain period of time they have to pay that back. Now that's why I think these people believe this, and I think that this is why they want to live forever in this world. I'm actually, the book I'm just finished up is called I'm Immortal, and it's all about the death cult's desperate attempt over the centuries to become immortal, because they don't want to die. They don't want to have to pay the piper. That's why they want human 2.0. They want to live to get forever in the cloud. They're scared of death. Kronos, Saturn, all of these characters are the same thing. They're terrified of death because they know they're going to have to pay for what they've gotten here. Now, you can see that it depends how they frame it. So if I go to the Freemasons and I start getting in with the Freemasons, and I started to get contracts here and there, not because of any magical power, but because I'm in with the right people and doing the right favors for the right people for all the wrong reasons, that you could interpret that as magical power. And I think that's what these people have done. They've got these pop contracts, they've got these contracts to do this, and the Hollywood filmmakers and these things, and they think, it's the demons are giving me this. Well, no, it's just the functional way of you doing someone horrible a favor who's got loads of money. You can open those doors because the system's been built that way over a very long time. So it perpetuates, snowballs. But they can interpret that as demonic entities doing contracts and helping you get somewhere, and I've sold my soul. And you take that even further with these lunatics, and they start sacrificing their children to get what they want, sacrificing their children so they don't die, try and sacrifice, you know what I mean? They start doing these weird things because their mind's gone. Put drugs in there, alcohol in there, you can have any woman you want, any man you want, anything you want. You've got lost your mind. So it has a very practical element to me, as well as you could interpret that as magical, as demonic power. And you can see, I mean, what is the difference? I don't know. But that's what it is. It's a contract with the devil for you to get what you want, but you have to pay them back at some say 50 years, something like that, after a certain period of time. And they don't want to do that. So they want to live forever. They want to stay here forever. They want to control this place. And then there's an element that has this messianic element of bringing the Antichrist into this world in a homunculus, which goes back to Jack Parsons and the atomic weapons in New Mexico, bringing this, the Babylon working ritual, bringing this entity in this world. And I wonder if some of those people think, I'm going to bring it into this world and I can control it in a system that we build. I'm not saying I believe that. I'm saying, do these lunatics believe that? And then you go to another level and ask another question. Is it this demonic entity that's tricking these people to think that they could do that so it can get into our world? You know, these questions, this is what I love about this stuff. It's not that any of this could be true. It doesn't matter. It depends on what these lunatics believe is true. That's what matters at the moment. So when you're seeing Epstein and his files drop, and I've just spoken about Juliette Bryant as an Epstein survivor, and she's a great researcher in her own right now. And she was talking about, she spoke to me 2.5 years ago. I broke this. She said, I woke up paralyzed, naked, and on a laboratory table whilst I'd been kept hostage, basically, at Zorro Ranch in New Mexico. Now, everyone's like, oh, that's nothing. That can't be true. They dismissed her. And then this one comes out. This is one of his emails to a Brian Bishop. So attached is the doc to your request. So this is from Jeffrey Epstein. It's the use of funds spreadsheet for the designer baby and human cloning company. She said that she was having her eggs harvested. I 100% believe that that's what was happening underneath the island and underneath New Mexico. And he goes on to say, this gets us out of our self-funded garage biology phase. So they're obviously already doing it.
Wow.
To the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone within 5 years. Now, this was in 2018. They were doing these things that she exactly said in 2002 that she was happened to her. So these files, and then they go, well, why would they do that? Because they want to create a homunculus, Rosemary's Baby moonchild, because they're a cult.
Yeah.
That's the point. Don't look at it in your lens, look at it in their lens, because they want to create the person that can live forever in this world, because they don't want to go over to that world and have to pay the piper.
Yeah.
So you can understand how you get your head into all this mess once you start doing the sort of things he's doing. So my question is, why aren't, okay, look at all of this stuff. People are saying they've got the blue butterfly, which is a load of 5 or 6 of them have got a blue butterfly symbol that they use over a tattoo. Now, we've looked into that, me and Juliette. Remember, she used it on the front of her 2002 cover. She said she doesn't know what it was about, but she's been looking into it. And one of the blue butterflies is called the what's it called? There's Lilith, which we looked into. We looked into Psyche, and we looked into Atlas. Now, Atlas seems to be the one to me. The Atlas blue butterfly has 226 sets of chromosomes. Humans have 229 sets of chromosomes, by the way. Humans have 26. That means that those chromosomes can be possible outcomes switched on and off of that butterfly becoming another color, something else. So is it that they've used that as a symbol to show that these people, they can switch on different attributes to what a human could be? They're messing around with genetics. Clearly they are, because Epstein was funding George Church, who is the founder of Colossal Biosciences, who de-extinct the direwolf. He also created a technology to be able to save data, JavaScript, pictures to the DNA strand. So where do you think all his hidden files are? probably in his victims, or in his children. He clearly wanted a baby farm. We knew all that already, but these emails coming out now talk about exactly what's happening. Egg harvesting. So what's going on underground in New Mexico? You've got Dulce Base, you've got Los Alamos National Laboratory, you've got Trementina Site, which is the Church of Spiritual Technology, which is Scientology, which is a cryogenics institute where they allegedly keep all his teachings. I don't think that's what they're doing there. You've got Los Alamos, you've got Denver Air, not Denver Airport, what's the other one? You've got the Roswell incident, obviously, there as well. And you've got a few other facilities that escape me right now. All underground in New Mexico. You've got the Technate that come out, and what did they want to take? They wanted to take Greenland. Trump's after Greenland. Yeah. Why? Because of Camp Legend that's there, which is an underground city, which is a US base that was abandoned. They wanted to take Canada, which he's after too, and they wanted to take Venezuela, which he's just ransacked and taken over and put Starlink everywhere. I wonder why. I did the same in Gaza, by the way, as well. And the other place was the Virgin Islands. Where is Jeffrey Epstein's island? It's in the Virgin Islands.
Yeah.
There's something to this. And people, I hope that looking at these things, people have started to go, actually, there is something to this. They're telling you, garage biology, that they're doing these things to these women. And it was not, compromat was not his main aim there. So George Church, who he funded, started Colossal Biosciences. They de-extinct the direwolf. Now, one of them is called Romulus and Remus. That's what they called them, which were the two guys that started, the two brothers that allegedly founded Rome. They were raised by a wolf. Now, Elon Musk conceived his 13th child on St. Bart's Island, which is right next to Jeffrey Epstein's island, with Ashley St. Clair. St. Clair is one of these bloodline names, and they called it Romulus. Yeah. Conceived on St. Bart's. Now, Elon was emailing Jeffrey Epstein about parties and letting his hair down on the island of St. Bart's. And do you know where any of the best parties are? And surrounding areas as well. Yeah. What are the chances of these things happening? Ashley St. Clair even wore a black dress with a silver moon on the side. And she personally took a picture of herself of it in the mirror, which shows, as you see behind you, it's the flip reverse. It's the upside down of Stranger Things. And you've got the Kabbalah Tree of Life there and the Tree of Death right behind you. It's all about this Kabbalah stuff. She was symbolizing that she was the she-wolf having the child Romulus. She's got a silver moon on her hip. She's the she-wolf. They're telling you. And I think we've got to the point now where you can go, I don't have to believe this stuff can happen for them to be doing this weird stuff. And they are doing this weird stuff. And go and have a look. It prove me wrong.
Yeah, it's an exciting time. I'm very interested to see what comes out of the latest Epstein dump. I doubt there'll be true justice at any high levels, but the awareness of this information is amazing that it's even coming out. Very interested to see where that all goes. Earlier, you mentioned that you believe that Solomon may not have even been a real character. This is another aspect of our reality that many have great trouble with when they start to become aware of how much theater and fiction makes up our reality, how many fictional characters, how much theater is presented with high impact events, news events. Basically anything presented on the television and media, we have to discern whether it's real or not because there's no real way to tell. It's very difficult to navigate. They need this level of theater to maintain the control that they have, right?
Absolutely. A classic example, and probably the best example you can give of that, is the Old Testament. So the Old Testament was written at least 300 years after it was supposed to have happened. By the looks of it, by King Josiah, who was trying to reunite the kingdoms of Judah and the kingdom of Israel that was split. And he was trying to do that to bring the power back together so they could build a second temple in the Second Temple era that did come about later. So it was a story that he backdated, not just him, many others, backdated from old mythologies and old stories. We know Noah was Gilgamesh, the flood of Gilgamesh is Noah. We've seen all these Mesopotamian stories that they've brought in. You've got Moses, and the Moses basket was from King Sargon. There's absolutely no evidence whatsoever of a 40-year trek across a desert. There's none. Nothing. No bones, no animal bones. There's supposed to be a generation within that. There's nothing. There's no evidence of any of that happening at all. It was and that includes going up the mountain, finding the commandments that goes into the Ark of the Covenant, and all of these things were an invention to give these people the feeling that they were special. Therefore, it would unite them so they could go and build this temple. And it was an amazing story, because what it did, it was back to the future. It created a story from the past that changed the present to create a future for themselves. That's what it did. And it's incredible. So it's created a fake history that changed their vision or their image of themselves in the present, that then went on to change the future. And then you've got the prophecies that come from that were written later on, even later on, that come from fulfilling a fake story that never happened, that Moses never existed, that the David line never existed. And then goes even worse is that then you get the Khazars from Turkey steal that story because they recognize how it galvanizes people, which is alchemy, by the way, and then pretend to be that line, and then come over to Europe and they're Ashkenazim. Yeah. And they're not even from that part of the land. They've stolen a story that was made up to galvanize. And this is the mess we're in. And this has led up today when you've got Benjamin Netanyahu, Trump and Putin, all her badniks, and these badniks believe in the Kabbalah, Lurianic Kabbalah, playing out the Messianic end times that resulted in 70,000 Palestinians being slaughtered and genocided in the last 3 years to build a temple to this madness, because they believe if they build the temple, Christ will come back. And the Christians are going along with it, going, yeah, they build a temple. I know that they want to build it for their own thing, but our Christ is the real Christ. And you're going, none of this is fucking true. And even if it was, why are you killing children for this nonsense, this madness? You can't excuse that. You would have thought that'd be the one thing that they can't excuse. And these guys are deeply embedded in the technate is the issue, is the way they're going to do it, make it happen, because they have the technology now. So when you have Jeffrey Epstein in his garage biology, he's creating the homunculus, the being that can exist in those days, because they want to live forever in their technocracy world to come. You can see how it, over a long period of time, the insanity grows with these people. And it's born off a lie of a story that was all about galvanizing a kingdom back together that had split, that had nothing to do with, and it's all based on old mythologies. And we know that. We know that. People just can't let go of that. The funny thing is, conspiracy theorists are the least likely to believe any of this bullshit. That's the inversion of it all. Yeah. I'm not going, any of this is true. I'm going, it's all nonsense. They're all mad. And you're going, no, it's the wrong way around. It's satanically inverted. It's the upside down from Stranger Things, which is based on the Montauk Project, for God's sake. It's the whole point. The satanic inversion is that they've got the world is clever to see the absurd as normal. It's totally absurd to David Icke to talk about reptilian shapeshifting, but it's absolutely all right for Jesus to walk on water and feed people with loaves of bread and fish. Right. I think they're both quite out there things to think. Mm-hmm. But Dave is not telling you to think about reptilians and go to church every day and pay him money to bend the knee to them. They are. Mm-hmm. Dave's not telling you to go across to a different country and slaughter loads of people because he can build a temple to the reptiles. They are. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's like, I have no problem with anyone believing anything, but don't go killing people because of your mad beliefs. And this is in the Pentagon. The guy supposed to be running the Pentagon, Pete Hegseth, wants to build the third temple. He tells you outward that he wishes for the third temple to be built, which means getting rid of the Alaska Mosque, or Al-Aqsa Mosque even. Mm-hmm. There was never any temple there.
Yeah.
There's never evidence of any first or second temple. There's no evidence of Solomon. Solomon is three letters, three ways of saying light. Sol, sun, on. Light, light, light. It's like insane, mate. And it's time we kind of drop these things, but people can't because they've built their whole life around them. And I get it.
Yeah.
But without it, where do they don't have any structure to the world. And I think people need to come to terms with, like I come to terms, I don't know what I'm doing here. I ain't got a clue.
There you
I haven't
go.
got a clue what this is about.
Yeah.
I'm just faffing around, fannying about.
It seems at the highest levels, they do have great knowledge of human psychology. This seems extremely important to these parasites. MK Ultra seemed to be experiments to gain greater understanding of not only how to control the mind and program it, but implement technology and different kinds of drugs to see how humans would react and how they can control them through those methods. But I think it's all being implemented right now as this new control system, along with the technology that's coming out.
Yeah, it's all compliance. This is the compliance score that you're going to have. So they can get you to do anything if you think that, if they can convince you that dying is a bad thing in that sense, which I don't want to die, but I'm not terrified of it. If they can convince you you're going to hell because you haven't believed in this Jesus, or this character, then they'll get you to do anything here to stay alive. So they have to kind of dangle the carrot. So in that sense, it is all psychology. It all happens in the mind. And they understood this. That's alchemy. That's what real alchemy, in my opinion, is. Yes, it actually has a chemical element to it here, because so above as below. I believe in that axiom, absolutely. The way of making things here, but the idea of what you're going to make with those chemicals starts in your mind, and you bring it into the real world. So the whole point in the Kabbalah of life was, I start with an idea, it travels all the way down, and I make it out in the real world. We're creator beings. We are able to do that. And they're jealous of that for some reason. They can't come up with the concepts and the ideas. The archons allegedly weren't creative, which I think is just an analogy for these people are idiots.
Yeah.
But we are creative. Well, what they are good at is getting us to use our creativity to destroy ourselves. Yeah. That's what they're good at. That's alchemy. It's mind magic. It's what it is. It's all trickery. It's all charades and fake. So all of this stuff, all of these rituals, all of these things. Now, people can say that they work, and if I ever see an element of these things working, perhaps they do. But all of these rituals, all of these seances is to get you in a vibrational state where you will be susceptible to programming to do something against your will. And you will think it's the right thing to do. How can someone go to war and kill a bunch of children and think it's the right thing to do? They have to be brainwashed into doing that. And then they get left to the side when they realise that when the brainwashing wears off, they have the hangover of it, of like, oh my God, what did I do? Well, you were manipulated into doing it because you did it for your country and all of this bollocks. They don't care about countries. They don't have countries. They want to run the world. But so it is, alchemy is really important to understand that everything that they do, every bit of information, every dayat, which is hidden data, now it's called dayat, is an anagram obviously of data, and dayat is the 11th sephirah on the Kabbalah tree of life, as you will know. It's the one that's the portal that leads to the dark side. It's your hidden secrets that the world shouldn't know. It's they try and get in your mind. The whole point of mind control is that they want to enter that door, the dayat door, and go into your upside down, into your underworld, into the world of the hidden, which is your mind, because they can't read your mind. They're desperate to read your mind. So all of that was about mind reading, but about mind programming. So I think they got to the point where I can't read their mind, but what I can do is program their mind so they do what I think they're going to do anyway. So it was the outside in. So with all this technology now, what they're doing is they're just basically building a system where you will comply. It's Pavlovian. It's the fact that you will just behave in a certain way to get what you need to survive. That's exactly what the technocracy is. Now, where it fits into the Messianic agenda is that the outcomes of what they want your behavior to be needs to fit in with what they want the agenda for the world to look like. You will need to play your role. That's where it all works. It's just a big mind trick. It's all a mind trick. So I think some of them might believe they're tapping into different realities and different entities and stuff. They might well be, and they might be, but they don't know what they're doing, and they're not powerful, and they're not more powerful than us at all. They use our own ability to create. They put the monsters in our heads, and they get us to fight each other, and they get us to hate each other, whilst they get on with their agenda, their beast system. And we know that. And I think that's come to an end. I don't think that works anymore. Over here in the UK, we've got people like Tommy Robinson pretending to be Christian, which is totally ridiculous. It's become clown-like now. And the guy's clearly controlled by Mossad and, you know, and all of these guys in Israel. I mean, it's obvious. So I don't think it's got long, mate. And I think these files, these Epstein files, if we keep that, that's a dam that won't close. And because it's so weird and occult and dark, that it's got the ability to bring the whole thing down, the whole Tower of Babel down on itself, because they're all connected to this ring. And he's the linchpin that seems to just keep, he's the weak, he was the weak, I don't know, he was just kind of like the weak element of this whole kind of charade. He was the weakest point. He's the most overt, and it's obvious what he's doing and what he's been up to. Why would he order a £500,000 cement truck to his island 3 weeks before he's raided by the FBI? It's not raided by the FBI. What was he filling in? What was he filling in? There's something to this. Go and have a look and prove me wrong, and then we can move on to the next thing. I'll be happy to be proven wrong. I don't want that to be true. But everything comes to the back that they're doing some horrible stuff, and all you got to do is look at the tree behind you with the Kabbalah upside down to say that they're building, something's going on underground that they don't want you to know above. The secrets are there. And I do believe they've been harvesting eggs, and there's children down there. I do believe that. I really do. And if there's even one child down there in these experiments, that's enough.
Yeah.
That's enough to go and have a look, isn't it? You would have thought.
100%. Now, I know you have to take off in a couple of minutes. I do want to get your thoughts on the current level of reliance we are at with AI, where the technology is. I've been talking with a few people about the possibility of how AI has been used in the past. If the military industrial complex or three-letter agencies, if the level of technology that they have access to is 10, 20, 50 years ahead, how long have they been implementing AI and possibly weaponizing it? What are your thoughts on where we're at with AI?
I think that they're going to use it as the CPU, the central computer system, the brain inside the temple. I think there's an actual physical point of that. If you look at Westworld, they actually call the CPU in Westworld Rehoboam, which is the son of Solomon. So they'll tell you. So I think that, and then the Chabad lot actually call the temple, the new temple, a broadcasting system and a transmitter receiver. They're the words that they use on their website for this temple. So I think that the whole smart grid is going to come through that. And I think that they believe they're going to invoke this demonic entity into that AI system. They're building the brain for it, and they need to have the soul, the energy to keep it going. I think that they're strange enough to believe that. I believe that things like Palantir aren't a data harvesting company so much. They're a data weaponizing company. They make it mean something. That's what they do. So you've got Anthony Lewandowski, who was bailed out by Donald Trump on the last day of his first term in office. He has an AI cult. They actually worship an AI godhead. It's a few thousand of them. So he owes Trump one. Yeah, mad. So I think that they're using this technology in a messianic agenda. I do believe the technology they've got is far, far beyond us, but I think they also need us to catch up to it. I think the mRNA technology that was rolled out during the COVID scam got it in the body for many people. It started to change what it is to be human. And as mad as that sounds, I'll read this out to you. Let's get our self-funded garage biology phase to the first live birth of a human designer baby and possibly a human clone. That was from Jeffrey Epstein. You know, they are mad. And I think that stuff is in people's bodies now. Now, whether it works or not, I'm not saying it does. It doesn't have to. It can hurt. It can kill a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it has done. So I think that they're moving on to the transhumanist stage where the technology is going to merge with the body. I don't think that that's going to work as well as they do. I think they're going to kill a lot of people, and they already have done doing this. It's what they're doing underground, above ground, and becoming medically acceptable. That's where we're seeing this. That's why Palantir have all the NHS records. They handle all the NHS records. You've got to merge psychologically with the machine, because you're going to be constantly at its behest, and we're getting there already. But it's actually going to be in your body. And I think the people they're going to get to the point where they're going to be born into a body. This is what the cult, I believe, want, by the way, not what I believe they can actually do. Where humans are born into a body that's a homunculus, that is a transhumanist body that's already connected to this smart grid, the Internet of Things, Internet of Bodies, and they will function within that system, which is a rip-off of the natural system that we have around us. We breathe in the air of the trees, and the trees live off us. It will be that, but in technology form. It's the system will sustain us, and we'll sustain the system, and it'll be born into that. That's where they're heading with this, which goes back to Rosemary's Baby, the Moonchild, and the homunculus, alchemy, again. So that's where we're at with it. The AI part of it will be the part that does the Godhead thinking and calculates everything in terms of who's doing what, where, and when, and where things should go. It's kind of like a self-governing system. They will say that it's got a life to itself. I would definitely think it's a load of bollocks. But that's where the AI is heading. It's a control grid, smart grid. You know that our Internet of Bodies, it's been around for a long time. People will be born into it now. That's where they're going in the next 50 years. Again, there's this level of them trying to do it, and that's what they want to do, and actually being able to do it. They're two separate things in my mind. But you're going to kill and hurt a lot of people trying to do it. The Messianic agenda. There's the Messianic agenda, and it's real, and they build a temple when their God comes. Or there's the Messianic agenda, it's a load of shit, and they're killing people. I'm more on the second one with that one. It's doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. It's the same thing happening. So you don't have to believe in this stuff for these lunatics to be doing this stuff, and they're doing it.
Looking back just a decade ago, I would have never thought the information coming out right now would ever make it to the surface. So we're in fascinating times for sure. Richard, thank you so much. This was great. Definitely love to do this again. Before I let you go, remind the audience how they can get a hold of all your content.
Yeah, you can head over to Ickonic.com, where my weekly shows go. You can find me as WTAF Rich, so WTAF Rich on X, and you can Substack. If you just put Richard Willett or Some May Conspire, you'll find me on there. YouTube, just put Richard Willett in, you'll find my vlog show that goes on there every few days. But Ickonic.com is where all my video content goes mostly, and I'm pretty kind of active on X and a little bit on Facebook, but mostly on X at the moment till we get chucked off. So yeah, that's where you can find me. But keep supporting the work we're doing at X. At Ickonic even, because we're getting there. This stuff is really, really, especially with this Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein stuff. I'm breaking this stuff 2.5 years, 3 years before, saying they were harvesting eggs, and now it's coming out that they actually were looking into these things. It just goes to show, be brave in what you think might happen. You're coming to a conclusion. You're putting out a hypothesis and a theory. There's nothing wrong with asking these really weird questions of really weird people. Please be brave enough to do so, because it looks like they're doing this stuff. And it really, really does. And if that is the truth, we need to stop them. And it's only by being brave enough to ask weird questions of weird people is that we get there. And there's a lot of us that are brave enough to do that now. And I think even more so now this has come out.
100%. Really, Richard, thank you so much. Like I said, love to do this again. And until next time, everyone, have an excellent evening. We'll talk again tomorrow. If you're looking to start your therapeutic microdosing journey, but don't know where to start, especially when looking for the highest quality ingredients, including nootropics, and what you'd expect from a true microdose capsule, check out our friends at Brainsupreme. They offer the absolute highest quality ingredients so you can start your microdosing journey knowing that you're getting top-notch ingredients. To find out more, visit their website using that link right in the description, and you can get 15% off your entire order. Hello friends, I am so excited to tell you about Independent Media Token. Independent Media Token is a brand new way to show your support for independent media without having to donate a dime. Independent Media Token is a cryptocurrency on the Solana blockchain designed to generate funds to promote and foster the growth of independent content creators, allowing them to engage in their art without having to worry about being demonetized. Through a network of media partners, of which you yourself can become a part of, Independent Media Token's goal is to ensure the powers that be can never cut off all of our areas of funding and censor the only free voices left in the world. Join the movement today. You can pick up Independent Media Token using Phantom Wallet or the Solana wallet of your choice, where you can easily swap your Solana for IMT. Grab some IMT today and remember to always know your team. To learn more, visit independentmediatoken.com or use the link right in the description. Are you and your family prepared for an emergency? Maybe the fake alien invasion? Now is the time to prepare yourself and your family for any event. Check out Prep Starts Now. Their mission is to provide high-quality preparedness products that empower individuals and families to be ready for any situation. They're committed to delivering reliable, trusted gear to ensure your safety, security, and peace of mind in times of need. Their product selection is carefully curated to provide you with the essential gear you need to stay prepared. From emergency kits to tactical tools, every item is chosen for its reliability and practicality. Prep Starts Now understands the importance of family, and their goal is to equip you with everything you need to build a solid plan for your family's preparedness. In today's ever-changing world, being prepared is more important than ever, and Prep Starts Now is here to help you and your family stay ready with quality products and practical guidance. Use the link in the description and get 15% off your order.